and welcome to another episode of Turn Left. I am your host, Indiana's own Dana Black, coming to you live. Yes, all the way live from Black Pearl Studios, where we talk about Indiana politics from the left side of things. Y'all, real talk. I mean, okay, y'all know I was like all groupied out because I went to the CBC, right? I'm hanging out with all the black politicos from around the country, right? But then last week, which is why we didn't have a show, I was in St. Louis at the DNC meeting. Never been to a DNC meeting. See, like, the candidates are cool, and trust, know, and believe. Y'all know how I feel about our Democratic candidates. But I was in the room where the sausage is made. I was in the room where they were talking about what's going to happen at the DNC next year. But more importantly, y'all, I got to go to all the breakout sessions, to all the caucus meetings, the Hispanic caucus meeting, the African American caucus meeting. But then at the women's caucus meeting, guess who their special guest was? I mean, trust, know, and believe, I was already hyped that Donna Brazile was there. So yes, I got to see Donna Brazile twice in the last month, geeking all the way out. But then they had a conversation. Donna Brazile had a conversation with the vice president. So that's the second time in that same time frame that I've been in the same room with our vice president, Kamala Harris. I'm telling y'all, I am living my best life. But more importantly, I see what winning looks like. I see what being on the grind looks like. I am just excited about what this election cycle in 2023 and what 2024 is going to bring. There are so many exciting things coming down the pike. And we see the clowns in Washington. Y'all do realize they're doing exactly what they've been trying to do the whole time, and that's shut down the government. Okay, well, if you don't have a speaker, then we can't do anything. So they're doing exactly what they've been wanting to do, which is shut down the government. And there was only the placeholder they put in to keep the government open was only for 45 days. So trust, they are doing exactly what they want to do. It just so happens that Kevin McCarthy, who is a spineless human, I'm still trying to figure out how he's able to walk. I mean, that's a scientific advancement if I've ever seen one, for someone to be able to walk without a spine. So just keep your eyes out. And if I'm wrong, I pray that I'm wrong. Oh my God, I so want to be wrong. I want to be wrong because I don't want all those people who live in Indiana and work for the federal government to not get a paycheck. That would be awful, especially when they're still getting theirs. That would be awful. So, but let's focus in on Indiana. You know how I do. I want to do something a little different this time around when I start, because I came across this amazing op-ed from Representative Blake Johnson from right here in Indianapolis. And it was published in Marijuana Moment. Okay, this is an amazing op-ed. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but if you guys go to Marijuana Moment, I'm certain you'll find this op-ed. And he says, across the country, states, including most of our neighbors, have realized the benefits of cannabis legalization, yet Indiana has continued to ignore them, a fact that has us falling behind in our competition for resources and talent. The production and sales of cannabis is a big business. In states where cannabis has been legalized, states have brought in hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue, providing additional resources for schools, public health, infrastructure, and other critical needs. The State House has a chance to crunch the numbers as we evaluate the economics of cannabis in the Interim Study Committee on Commerce and Economic Development. As a member of that committee, I implore my fellow legislators to listen to the statistics. He wants them to listen to numbers, not your emotions. It's time for Indiana to sow the seeds and reap the economic benefits of cannabis. Legalization would stimulate our economy. A regulated cannabis industry would create jobs, generate tax revenue, and expand investment opportunities. Even though the employment rate is fairly low, the Indiana Department of Workforce Development estimates 127,406 Hoosiers still need jobs. Cannabis business would open hundreds, if not thousands, of employment opportunities for individuals who need them. A 2016 study in California estimated that recreational legalization would create between 81,000 and 103,000 jobs in the state. It stands to reason that Indiana would benefit greatly from starting up the industry within our borders. He goes on to detail more information, but y'all, we lagging behind. Now, I'm not even a weed smoker. I don't even smoke. It's not my recreation. Give me some vodka, I'm good. But for those who want to partake, one, let them. We see it's working. Crime ain't up in cities where they smoking. Crime is up in places where they really ain't smoking. Maybe they should. We're not seeing an increase in crime by legalizing cannabis. And in Indiana, we're still locking people up for cannabis, where if you live in another state, it's not a crime. You can make money off of it. I believe it is time for us to catch up and raise that money, because people are just driving over the border to get what they want. Why not leave that money here? But our dudes in the state house, because, again, that state house is configured with a bunch of 1952 philosophers. They don't want to move Indiana forward. They say they want to bring businesses to Indiana, but they don't want to bring high-paying jobs to Indiana. They just want people to work for less. I'm so proud of his op-ed. You guys should go read it. He is definitely an Indianapolis Democrat, but I love him to death. He's always fighting for us in the state house. Go read Blake Johnson's op-ed in the marijuana moment. NPR reports new research from the eviction lab at Princeton University provides a clearer picture of the demographics of who gets evicted in the U.S. The study linked names and addresses of eviction court records to census data. Lead researcher Nick Gratz said that the trends that appeared weren't exactly shocking. Really seems like it's largely black families who are being filed against for evictions. So I think the broad patterns were what we expected them to be, but I think just the sheer magnitude and the scale that we're talking about was surprising to me. Less than 1/5 of renters in the United States are black, but more than half of the evictions are black renters. I want to say that line again because that is significant. Less than 1/5 of renters in the United States are black, but more than half of the eviction filings are against black renters. In Indiana, it's a similar story. Indiana has one of the highest eviction rates in the country. And while on average of 8% of renters per year in the state have eviction filings against them, the number is 23% for black renters. Grass said he hopes the data shines a brighter light on fair housing issues when it comes to renters instead of just homeowners. So I think a big draw for this paper is that we should focus more on who's really being affected here and what's happening to folks. The study also highlighted that children are incredibly at risk for eviction. People under 20 are most at risk for eviction in the U.S., and children under 18 make up about 40% of renters who face eviction each year. In Indiana, there's an average of 1.22 children per household that's evicted each year. That's the 14th highest rate in the country. While the data in the study is from before the pandemic, Gratz said initial looks at pandemic-era data shows that the patterns in evictions are largely unchanged. So not only are black folks having a more difficult time at becoming homeowners and selling their homes, because we've talked about how appraisers are appraising black homes significantly lower when they go in and see the photos or the art or all the things. Now we have a study from Princeton that shows that black folks are being filed against at a much higher rate. Now, there could be a lot of reasons for that. It could be that, the renter sees a white family and they're like, yo, you know what? I'm going to give you a break. I'm going to give you some time. And they don't get offer that same grace to black families. Or it could be as soon as the black person gets in trouble, they want to kick them out. We don't know. They didn't detail the reasons behind the numbers. So there's a lot of things that could possibly go into this. But the fact that we make up only 1/5 of the renters, but over half of filing eviction notices is somewhat suspect. And I think people ought to look into it. I think my elected officials ought to look into that. And I'm going to ask them about it after the election, because that's a number that is scary. Because once you get an eviction on your record, it's hard to rent again. And now you become unhoused, or the potentials become unhoused. And you're working every day, which, is another issue, right? The fact that you're working 40 hours a day and you can't afford your rent, that's a problem. That's a problem. We're going to talk about that too one day. All right. But I got some pseudo good news for my folks up in Hamilton County, my Democrats in Hamilton County. The State House Chronicle reports Representative Donna Shibley, a Republican for Carmel, announced Thursday, which last week, that she will retire after nearly 10 years in office. She'll complete her current 2-year term, but won't seek re-election in 2024. She has served House District 24, parts of Boone and Hamilton counties, since 2014. She is the second long-serving Carmel Republican to announce retirement plans in recent weeks. Representative Jerry Torr will also serve out his term before leaving to focus on his career in title insurance. I think what y'all doing up in Hamilton County has got some folks a little nervous and shaking in their shoes. You see what Miles Nelson is doing up there? I don't believe that Hamilton County is as red as it used to be. In fact, I believe these incumbents are recognizing it is not as red as it used to be. Not to mention, when it's an open seat, it levels the playing field, y'all. It levels the playing field. And why am I talking about this? I don't live in Hamilton County. Y'all know I'm Indiana's own. I'm 92 counties. But we need to get rid of that supermajority in the State House. Oh, what? There's a connection? Absolutely. Because of that supermajority, we have no permit carry. We have an abortion ban. We have a ban on trans health care. We have book bannings. We have all these policies that are coming out of the State House because Democrats only have to show up, right? They don't have to show up for them to pass whatever draconian bill that they want to pass out of the State House. So the fact that there are two open seats in Hamilton County, which is trending more and more purple every day, means that, we need to get with Dana Colbert and we need to get with Cynthia Johnson, who was up there in the 5th district, and find out how we can, recruit some good candidates for those races next year. And then after we recruit them, we have to support them and help them get over the line so that we can flip 2 seats in the House. Y'all, do you hear? You see where I'm drawing the line here? That's 2 open seats. And I'm sure there's going to be more. We had the unexpected death of the homeboy from Indianapolis. I can't think of his name right now, but death happens. We all gonna die. It happens. Sorry, rest in peace. Sorry for your lost family. But we have an opportunity to flip some seats. And if we pay attention to these open seats that are trending in purple places, and we can turn out the vote, raise some money, do all the networking that we need to do to get people engaged, we can do something about that supermajority. And have some it won't be balanced because they'll still have a majority, but be able to stop stupid stuff, right? The other part of that is, with so few Democrats in the State House, they have to spread themselves so thin over so many different committees. So they're literally bouncing and missing stuff because there's not enough of them. So guys, I know we're focusing on 2023 because I love municipal races, but I want you to think about right now. It's October the 12th. Think about who in Hamilton County or in Boone County that could take over Shibley and Torr's seat. Let's get behind them now. Let's start supporting them now so that we can be ready. We can be ready to take them on in 2024. All right, that is my rant for the day. And now it's time for me to highlight my sponsor, Bohm's Unique Boutique. Today's show is brought to you by Bohm's Unique Boutique. Click on the QR code. And for all Turn Left listeners, you can get a 10% discount on your order by using the code Democrat. Be sure to visit www.bohmsuniqueboutique.com. I love it. I love it. I love it. And you know what? I still have some time to help you out if you need some digital content. If you need a 30, 60, 90-second social media ad that you want to put together, reach out to me. We have a few weeks, not long, but I still may be able to help you out if we can get the shoot done relatively quickly. But if you need anything, if you have an event that you want some audiovisual equipment, reach out to me, scan the QR code, or reach out to me at www.blackpearl-itsolutions.com. I got you covered. All right, let's get to my guests, because that's what we're here for. Oh my, y'all switched positions. Okay, well, hold on. Let me get things the right way. Don't move. Bam, I want to make sure everything's in the right place. All right, first up, I have a newcomer to the show today. I haven't had a chance to actually chat with her, but I'm excited because she's from Michigan City, which is doing amazing things. They are getting it done up in Michigan City. Y'all give it up for my first guest, running for Michigan City City Council 2nd Ward, Daisy Lee. Daisy, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dana. I'm very excited to be here.
I love it. I love it. And a returning guest, a homeboy, and you can always find him on the east side getting busy no matter what. Running for re-election for Indianapolis City County Council, District 13, my guy, Keith Graves. Keith, welcome to the show. Welcome back.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Good to see you, and good to see you too, Daisy Lee.
Man, listen, I brought up a whole bunch of topics today in my rant. Talked about marijuana. I talked about, black folks having more eviction filings, and I talked about open seats and what does that mean. Did any of those conversations, any of those topics, guys, resonate with you? And did you want to comment on anything that I was ranting about today? Daisy, I'll let you go forward first.
Okay. So your first two that you were ranting about hit home. So I am a middle school teacher in Michigan City, and so I see those two issues affect my students daily. So as far as legalization of marijuana, a different aspect that wasn't mentioned in that article was the fact that weed that's being sold on the side is sometimes being laced with things that are harmful. So I have a former student who bought some weed from his friend and it had rat poison in it. And so he went from being a straight A student and awesome potential things with his life to someone who now has severe brain damage.
Wow.
And that's heartbreaking to see. And as far as evictions, I unfortunately see students be evicted, and primarily black students and their families being evicted. And your stats are heartbreaking too, but they align with what I see daily, unfortunately.
Wow. Counselor?
Yeah. So, when you've heard the term, things like when Indiana catches a cold, Black Indiana catches a flu.
Yes.
That means, Dana, that what is challenging for the state of Indiana and the residents and renters across our state, what is challenging for them is felt much more deeper and much more broader throughout the Black community in Indiana.
Yep.
And I tell you, those stats about evictions are not surprising to me. I've known that for a long time, and our city council has known that for a long time. And we have done our level best to put in place tenants' rights that have been continually challenged by the state legislature. And it's, you wonder why. And I think the answer to why is the bold landlord organizations that are being represented by lobbyists that are going to continue to appeal to those legislators that have the right to really take our muscle away as we continue to advocate for our tenants. It's unfortunate. I don't tell a lot about my youth, but I did, in fact, recall several times where evictions came to our door, and it wasn't pleasant. It brings me a lot of sadness. I work closely with a young lady in my district, and we are very focused on making sure that women and children do not face that. We've gone into our own pockets as well as some
That's awesome.
monies that are provided by different organizations to rescue those individuals that are sleeping in cars, that are homeless and unhoused, as a result of our challenging legal system. We got so much work to do in Indiana should be embarrassed about those stats.
Absolutely. They absolutely should be. And guys, as we talk to these amazing candidates, please know that their donate links, their ActBlue links are right there on the page. We like to turn these into little mini fundraisers, right? We want to help these candidates get elected. So if you like anything that these candidates talk about over the next 45 minutes or so, please click their donate link. Donate as much as you can. $5, $10, $15. Every little bit goes a long way. Sometimes they just got to buy water for the volunteers that are knocking doors for them, right? It's the little things. So as you listen to these candidates, consider donating. All right, we're going to start with the ladies first. Ladies first. Ladies first. Daisy, tell the people who you are and where you come from.
Great. I'm Daisy Lee, and I live in Michigan City, Indiana. I teach middle school environmental science and STEM. I've been teaching here for 10 years, coaching volleyball, 8th grade volleyball as well.
I played.
I'm heavily involved. Oh, go ahead.
I'm going to say I played.
Oh, all right. When you come to Michigan City, we'll play then.
No, that was in 8th grade. I'm 53. We're not doing that now. I'm just saying I played at one time, but you hit it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I'm very involved in the community. I'm on the Sustainability Commission for the city.
Ooh.
And with my students, I also like to bring my students into my work and into the community and get them involved and let them know how they can make active change in their community too.
Love it.
So a couple of years ago, my 7th graders and we worked on a project with the Michigan City Parks Department to get them to put recycling bins in our city parks. And they made videos explaining to the Parks Department why they should put recycling bins in the city parks, and they won. The Parks Department listened, and so they put recycling bins in the park. I'm also a member of PFLAG, and I am the chair of the Michigan City Pride Fest and have been since its inauguration in 2018. And I'm a member of CISV, which is a global peace organization, and a member of the NAACP.
Oh my goodness. You got everything covered. When do you sleep?
Sometimes, yeah.
So let me ask you this. Education is always the biggest topic of conversation, no matter where you go, right? You are in the school. So are you teaching in a public school or a private school, parochial school? Public school. Public school. When you and obviously this has nothing to do from a council perspective, but I got to ask because I got a teacher on the show. When you hear and watch the pieces of legislation that have been coming out of our state house that are specifically targeting public education and denying teachers the resources that they need, how does that make you feel as an educator?
Sometimes it can be very defeating. It feels like the state doesn't support us. It feels like sometimes the parents don't support us. Mm-hmm. I know that there are supporters out there. But when they keep putting legislation in that knocks us down and also discredits us as trained professionals who have gone to college with a degree to teach the children, it discredits us. There aren't many other professions where people who don't know anything about that profession step in and make policies about that profession. But we try to stay strong for the kids. We try to stay there. We do what we can. We write grants. We do donors' shoes. We fund stuff with our own money. We do what we can to keep it going.
Does the adversity kind of motivate you more to do it? I mean, because some people get defeated. Some people be like, forget it, I'm out, right? We're seeing the mass exodus of teachers. Does it make you just want to fight more?
It does, and it makes me want to get involved in different aspects. Hence, part of the reason running for city council, to help make more positive change in a broader aspect than only in my small bubble. And
so, Daisy, why are you so involved in all these other cultural places with Pride and NAACP and all the other? Why get involved in all? You could just be a teacher and just come across all the students on the planet and then be done. But why do you give so much of your time?
I care a lot about people, and I care a lot about making sure that people have equality and equity and making sure that they have what they need. And I'm a big fan of making positive change. Mm-hmm. I want to ensure people's voices are heard, especially people's voices who don't often get heard. I represent that in my classroom too. I make sure that my students' voices are always heard. And I try to lift people up, and I like to make change.
And what drew you to STEM? Like, we're trying to, remove those barriers for women in STEM, where especially women of color. I'm in STEM. I work in technology. What drew you to STEM and to want to teach it to young people?
So my background is in environmental science. I majored in ecology and natural sciences, and I never actually thought I would be a teacher. But right out of college, I got a job at the Dunes Learning Center in the Indiana Dunes National Park, teaching outdoor environmental education, and I loved it. And then I taught science at the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago,
Nice.
and then in the Peace Corps in Panama, doing environmental work there.
Nice.
And then when I came back from the Peace Corps, a friend needed a sub at one of the schools she worked at and invited me to be a sub. And then that led me into education. And I got a job teaching environmental science, which was exactly perfect for me. And it turned out that I loved it and I'm good at it. And here we are.
I love that. I love that. And are you able to take your love of environmental sciences into your activist work and your, because you're an activist, yes, you're a politician because you're running for office, but you are definitely an activist.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on the Sustainability Commission for the city, so I'm able to help do projects that help combat climate change within the city, and make people more aware, because a lot of times, people have a very specific view on what environmentalism is. So to try to broaden that, and the environmental sector tends to be pretty whitewashed. So I want to make sure that it's more inclusive with our community that's represented in Michigan City too.
Oh my gosh, your story is already fascinating. All right, I got to turn it up for my homeboy from Naptown, Nap in the house, East Side. Keith Graves, tell the people who you are and where you come from, bro.
Hey, thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to your listeners. I am Keith Graves. I'm a member of the Indianapolis City Council, originally elected back in 2019 for re-election again this year. A very important election coming up here in Marion County, our mayoral race as well as our council race. So myself and Mayor Joe Hogsett, we really been doing a great partnership over the last 4 years.
Love it.
To truly transform the east side of Indianapolis. Of course, there's so many names. I won't even begin to try to name those that have made some of the transformation we've seen on the east side possible. But Dana, I just want your listeners to know that what we were looking at, you and I were on this call nearly 4 years ago to this moment. And our community, my East Side District 13, on the ballot now after redistricting as District 9, it looked totally different than what it looks today. I've worked closely with our community leaders, neighborhood association presidents, business and our faith-based community, as well as our community development corporation leaders, and my colleagues on the council and our leadership on the council to advocate and rally for the change that we finally see. So many decades of disinvestment on the Indianapolis East Side. It almost makes everyone who say, you say, I'm on the East Side, they say, hey, but they don't say that anymore, because what we've seen now is, a couple $100 million in roads revitalization in the last 4 years, about $300 million in projects. Those projects are like grocery stores in what was otherwise known as a food desert.
Yeah.
Jobs being created by names that are business stalwarts here in our state, Cook Medical Group and Goodwill, Southern and Central Indiana. Healthcare being provided by Eskenazi. All these projects are bringing buildings to our corridor, bringing jobs to our corridor, bringing food. We've got 2 banks, Dana, that have committed to coming into our community. One has already opened their doors for service, so we couldn't be happier. The other one, they're bringing about 200 units of housing. So we're talking about housing. We're talking about affordable housing. Our challenges here in Indianapolis are great, but we have to continue to provide affordable housing. As you mentioned in your rant, we should call this show Dana's Rant, because there's so much said in that 15 minutes. But I tell you, as a city, we have to continue to keep our arms around the challenges. A lot of it is big business coming from out of state, coming into our communities and buying up properties, forcing rents to be higher, and causing people that can't otherwise afford, today's rent definitely not to be able to afford it tomorrow. So we got to meet it on all ends. Living wages, affordable rent options. But we're doing a lot of that on the council, and I'm excited that a lot of that attention of our entire city, from the mayor on down and his administration on down, has been focused on our community. So I tell you, I couldn't be happier. On 4 committees, those are public safety, which gets the bigger chunk of our annual budget this year, just about 1.5 billion. So we know that our community is doing its level best to be safe as a result of some of the specific and intentional work that we're doing, like funding law enforcement with the ability to hire more, the ability to bring more technology to do their jobs better. And also we're funding on the preventive side. We're funding organizations that treat the root causes of crime. People are still coming home from incarceration with challenges finding employment, and they might believe that crime is one of the solutions. Well, we're helping scale up organizations that are in the work of helping returning citizens, same as those that are experiencing substance abuse. And I'm really sad to hear the story, Daisy, about the student that my brother, his best friend, had a similar situation when they were in high school. And I tell you, he was never the same. He'd be sitting on the bus stop in our community till 2 a.m., and he was never the same.
Wow.
And if I'm just saying that story right there, many people on the east side of Indy know who I'm talking about. But I tell you, the effects of substance abuse are plentiful. And one of the residual effects is crime. And so we're beefing up the ability for organizations that treat those that are experiencing substance abuse disorders, and helping them help the people that need it most, and homelessness. Of course, I shared my story already. I recall homelessness and bouts with living in homeless shelters as a kid with my entire family. That I wasn't a weekend stay. It was kind of where the school had my address, and even the Marion County Guardian's Home. I know that place relatively well over in Irvington. So
I gotta stop you because you wait, hold up, bro. Hold up. Okay. You got the ultimate come up story and you just trying to brush over it. We're not gonna do that. Hold up.
Said, Keith, I know you, but you never told me that.
Right. Okay.
I told you at the top of the show, I don't talk about it a lot because, I just really want to get out here and work hard. And people always want to know, Dana, what is your motivation? My motivation is because I remember carrying a bag that was bigger than me with all my belongings in it, and my brother doing the same, and my sister doing the same, and my mother doing the same. And we didn't know where we were going. The love of a cab driver didn't take the little money that we owed him and gave us more money than that, took us here, took us there, and we were all taken care of. So God bless me, Dana, and I am here to return that favor.
But what prevented you? I gotta know, because you know the statistics, and once you get out of Marion County, the people outside of Marion County and outside of Indianapolis think Indianapolis is just some kind of wild, wild west, which is not. I mean, crime is everywhere. Crime travels,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
But what prevented you? Knowing the hardships that you had, seeing the pain and feeling the pain that you did, what kept you on a straight and narrow? You went to school? I don't even know. You skipped over a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay. First of all glory to God who absolutely directed me, because I didn't make the right moves and go to the right places and do all the right things. Okay. So let me make sure that's the understanding there, Dana. But I had people around me. I call them angels, whether it was the next door neighbor who helped us out a lot, with food and substance, etc. But I had some family members across our family on both sides, my mom's family, my dad's family, that jumped in and helped us out. But we had some challenges growing up, and one of the things, my uncle, he was a strong, tall guy, and he worked at juvenile center. He told me I better not see you in here. So I think when my friends were maybe going in the stores, doing some crazy things, probably because they didn't have a couple of dollars, so they were going maybe steal candy bars or whatever. I knew to not even go in the store.
Right.
So God bless me with that, just kind of oversight with those people in my life who helped me out. But Dana, I just wanted more, and I knew that wasn't what I wanted. I also had a family that was pretty well off. And when I would go over to their house and they would invite people my age over, I would never go and play with those kids. I would stay in the room because I was kind of like embarrassed to not have the kind of clothes they had. So
Yeah.
I think I just wanted to do whatever it took to be better than what my circumstances were. And I was definitely scared of jail and losing my freedom. So I just thought, working hard, but I did not have a plan, Dana. There were so many social services that helped me, from the church that would come to the Pacific Garden Mission, where we stayed in a homeless shelter, and asked me every week to read the same scripture. Like, okay, I remember John 3:16. All right, I know it. They said, well, read it again, son, and I'll read it again. But those people showed me love, and so many angels along the way that really to move my life forward, including someone tapping me on the shoulder saying, you actually can go to IU, Indiana University, if you do a couple of things. My cross country coach said, you're pretty good.
You
man.
ran cross country, bro.
I did, but I ran in like Converse, and he was like,
wait a minute,
you're pretty good.
I hope the listeners are checking this show out, because I got two hardcore amazing guests on this show
in the Michigan City area, really racking it up, and I'm just excited to know who she is now. She's doing great things, and she's broadly spreading herself around, and I really appreciate that.
Man, isn't that
from one hard worker to another?
Why have I not met Daisy Lee before? Right. Like now, why? This is bugging me, because I'm like, oh, this is a powerhouse woman, And I know that. I mean, trust me, I don't know every Democrat. I feel like I should, but I don't. And when you hear, but y'all are both like, okay, Indiana's own Dana Black. Let me just do the station identification. Indiana's own Dana Black. We are talking to Councilman Keith Graves and candidate Daisy Lee for City Council up in Michigan City. Listen, y'all, y'all are so passionate, both of y'all, and motivated about serving the community. Why? And I'm gonna ask Daisy first. Why do you think it's necessary to have that kind of to be a city councilor?
For me personally, I like to get stuff done. And so to have the drive and the passion and experience and open-mindedness, it helps me include everybody in order to get stuff done and to make change in the city, and to maybe one day change more of Indiana, because I see this legislation passed that directly harms people that I care about. And we have to do something about that.
And Keith, I know what you're going to say. Go.
Well, honestly, I usually would answer that because today, in today's environment, as we mentioned, the Black America, Black Indianapolis, and Black Indiana really at the wrong end of so many stats, and it's frustrating. So I usually say we're in the all hands on deck environment. So let's all jump in. But I don't know when a time was in history when we weren't. So today we are absolutely there, which means I'm calling all those people whose names we don't know. They're not public officials. They're not even involved in the process, to come off of the relaxation moment, come off the couch and come out here.
When was they relaxing?
I mean, people, whoever is not out here celebrating this grocery store that we just opened in District 14.
And shout out to Ashley Gervitz. Shout out to Ashley Gervitz.
Absolutely. I really, this whole east side of Indianapolis and the city itself is certainly in debt to Ashley and her hard work, tireless hard work.
Yeah.
My career, me being here on your show, largely due to her showing me the way it is. She wasn't the first person I worked with, and I'm so happy that God directed me to her, another angel in my life that said, no, you got to work a little harder.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
there are no take time
No, no.
offs. So we have been partnering over the last 4 years, and the change is unbelievable.
I
And I'm just
see
so
it.
blessed to be
I
there.
see it because I'm on the east side, but I'm in Duke Oliver's district where he's not running for reelection. I'm in Duke's district. Okay, I want to ask y'all something else because both of y'all, Daisy, you being a teacher, and your goal is to pay it forward. And Keith, I've seen you in the streets, so it's not like I don't know all the boards and commissions you sitting on, but I also know that you are always leaving the ladder down for young people. Daisy, you were committed to educating young people. Why is it so important for young people to see y'all in the community and having the ability to bend y'all's ear when the time comes, whether you're an elected official or not? Why is it so important? Why do y'all feel it's important to be in the lives of young people? Daisy, I'm gonna let you go first.
They're the ones that are going to be the next generation to come and lead our city, to come lead our state and our country. And so to encourage them now to get involved in community services, into nonprofits, and teach them how to actively get involved, or to even reach out to their current council people, or to reach out to nonprofits. It's giving them those skills as young people to then develop so they can bring those skills and develop them to when they're adults. So let me see. So if we can grab them while they're young and hold them up and lift them up and teach them how to get things done and teach them how to make their voices heard, because not everybody has access to that, and not everybody knows that their voices matter, and not everybody knows how to get things done or how to contact people. So if we're able to teach them at a young age, then we'll have a more successful city, we'll have a more successful state, a more successful country, and people who are more empathetic and open-minded and able to listen to others and able to interact with others, and listen to people who are different from them, or be able to have conversations that they may disagree without shaming the other side, without publicly humiliating other people.
I know it. Councilman?
I agree, Daisy. They are the future. Our youth are the future. I'm tapped into about 3 or 4 different organizations where youth are involved. And I couldn't be happier because they're my family. They're not only the future, they're people who I know, people who are going to be intermingling with my family. I want to help build them up so they can be contributing members of our community. But also, Dana, I was them, and I needed an adult like me to come back and help. So you won't find me too tired to tap into our youth, whether it's the Marion County Prosecutors Youth Violence Prevention Coalition or Bloom Project and the many different things that they're doing. Voices, I have mentees that I do. I have 3 mentees that I'm actively involved with their lives and a part of things that they do, as well as I'm a member, commissioner on the Indianapolis Commission of African American Males. So we are out here focusing on the challenges that Indianapolis African American men face, specifically our men. So I want to be a part of the change that is required, because without someone like me, I don't know where I would have been. Without a strong, tall uncle who said, whatever you do, don't find yourself over here.
And you know what? I have a confession. And I know this interview is about y'all. And the beautiful part is it's my show, so we can go as long as y'all can stay on the show. I as an African-American lesbian, I didn't always understand, because I'm like, men they in charge of this, they in charge of that. And, a lot of times my black sisters, they, defer to men. So I was like, what do men need now? Because I just didn't get it. And I'm going to tell you, I watched an episode of Shy. and they were having a men's circle where they were able to kind of like express their emotions. And see, I hang out with Democrats and I have male friends, but I'm not as intimate, like I am with my girlfriends and my homies. And so I didn't understand like that need for emotional release that our males and specifically our black males need. And so one of the things, and I put it out there to a couple of young folks, I want there to be like a male version of Hoosier Women Forward. I put it out there to a couple of folks. I want young, I can help drive it, but I can't lead it, right? I'm not a man. I can't pretend to be I look like one and I'm kind of fly like one, but I'm not. And so once I understood the need that black men, and it came to me in a TV show, y'all, because I just didn't get it. That was just a confession I had to throw out there. All right, we got to talk about policy now. There's a reason why people want to vote for you. We got to give them, the council is the fiscal body of our municipal governments. Daisy, I'm gonna start with you because you got a leg up, Keith. You've been there for almost 4 years, so I got to start with Daisy. Daisy, what are the areas in Michigan City that you feel like you want to address while you were on the council, city council in Michigan City?
So I am fortunate enough that I have 150 mouths telling me things that they like and don't like every day.
Okay.
And so for 10 years, kids have always told me that there's not enough for them to do in the city, that they're bored. And so I would like to implement more youth programming in the city. And not only will that help our kids grow into good humans, but it'll also help with community crime. If we have more youth programs available that focus on sports, that focus on art, music, science, whatever. And if we have space for kids to do that, and if they have access, both financially and with transportation, they have a safe place for them to be, they have adults there who care about them, they're going to be less likely to go get in trouble outside. And so that's kind of a twofer, right? Building up the next generation, but also helping with community crime. Okay. I'd like to focus on environmental issues, reducing climate change. We have a coal-fired power plant here in Michigan City that's going to be decommissioned in 2028. But on the west side of town, we have higher rates of asthma and higher rates of cancer, because those are the people who are closest to the coal-fired power plant. So we also have coal ash that NIPSCO has dumped in the pines. So there's a lot of environmental justice issues that we can focus on in the city, and bringing the community together too. So I want to help make more community organizations or neighborhood groups where people can get together and know their neighbors. Have civil conversations, an open forum where people are allowed to have discussions and have disagreements with each other, but in a platform and in a space that is safe for them to do that, where they feel that they can express their opinions and express their needs and wants for the city without somebody judging them.
So what's the makeup of your council now? It's 7 seats, right? 7 or 9?
9.
Yeah. And what's the makeup?
As far as the people on there?
Well, Republicans and Democrats. I should have been more specific. My fault.
They're all 9 Democrats. 9
Democrats. So you don't even have to worry about working across the line. Okay. Now, one of the things I've seen is I've been to a Bloomington City Council meeting and they're all 9 Democrats and they like to argue amongst each other. So I know as Democrats, we can do that because we all have different views. How do you, as in your leadership style, how do you bring consensus to an issue where you may feel like, we're not getting together on this? How do you use your leadership style to bring consensus when you need to? Because you got to get stuff done, right?
Right. There's always common ground somewhere. So having civil conversation and finding somewhere where you can come together and that you have a common ground. We all have something in common with someone else. So finding that ground, having civil conversation, working together in that aspect. Luckily, this whole slate of Democrats, if we all get in, I hope so. I have worked with almost all of them on different community projects, so I already have a background with working with them. and successfully. And so that is a great place for me to start personally, to help get things done quickly in the city.
I don't think people realize the importance of building good relationships. I really don't. Like, when you build relationships in your community, no matter what you're doing, you're going to be able to accomplish things. Keith, I'm actually going to switch the question up a little bit on you, because you've been in your place for 4 years. Talk about, first tell me what your greatest accomplishment, give me just a couple, your greatest accomplishments over the first 4 years. And of course, you can't rest on your laurels. So what are the two things that you want to work on in the next 4 years?
Right. You mentioned who's moving forward. I just want to give a quick shout out to the love of my life, Audemars Carter.
Hey.
She's who's
well, I saw her this week. I was hanging out with her.
Awesome. Good deal. So she's listening to your show, as you know. But we've had some tremendous successes in our community. As I mentioned, you just don't see fenced off areas where buildings sprout out of the ground on the east side. It's just the opposite. You see abandonment where businesses once were. So to see this beautiful new building, Eskenazi Indie Fresh Market, open for business right now, Cook Medical Group, and the banks coming, and the housing and the roads revitalization, those are the things that I was able to partner with Ashley and some of those other leaders in our community to make happen. But you're right, you can't rest on our laurels. So we've already been in deep conversations with another important area in our community, Devington Plaza.
Ooh.
We have a new buyer for Devington, and that's going to be revitalizing that area. At one point was the major place to be on the east side, and they're looking at Devington as a destination to complement the $66 million revitalization that we're going to see at Arlington Middle School right next door. So we have huge plans for that corridor, and that's my work. That's why we can't stop.
Can I just tell you how happy I am? Because I have two elderly aunts that live in like on I'm not going over there in the Kenmore area, and they have to go way too far to the grocery store, right? And they don't let niece help them. So I'm super excited. Maybe there'll just be something. So when I say elderly, I mean like 80 years old and they still be driving. I'm not finna, and why should they have to go in the wintertime too far? They're not tech savvy to have food delivered. So thank you for that. Because when the Kroger shut down, I panicked. And they was like, Dana, we okay? Thank you for that. That's damn good news.
Yeah, we are absolutely happy. Even in where crime is concerned, which is definitely a challenge that we want to continue to be intentional about how we address it and how we focus and how we overcome it. We have seen drops in the numbers since I've been on council, 20, 21, 22. Each year we've seen a sharp decline in crime in the east side. And I think because what you see in your community is how you feel about your community. Yeah. It's how you feel about yourself. Yeah. So the revitalization efforts has its effects, not to mention the social determinants and all those contributing factors where access to healthcare, access to food, access to good jobs, people who care. A lot of my job as a council member is to bring hope and positivity to my community. It is to uplift them, grand openings and ribbon cuttings and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. So I'm here for that. But we'll continue to bridge the gap between our law enforcement community and our African American community. That's citywide, but definitely on the east side of Indy, we want to see some things that are challenging and are heavy in the news in our city. We want to see them addressed where crime is concerned, where law enforcement and the relationship with African-American community is concerned, because that relationship, Dana, is kind of why, there's some challenges closing cases in Marion County. There's a bad relationship. No one wants to talk to each other for historical negative reasons. And we gotta address it. So we're on the top of that. And our city has so many other challenges, like making sure that we continue to work closely with our senior community and our youth. I will be seeking the education chairmanship on the council. Historically, we have really not used it in a way that I plan to use it. Because our muscle where education is concerned is very limited. Our teeth is very limited. But
on the council,
we can bring attention to it. We can bring some policy to doing things to attract African-American educators and administrators in the educational systems. because I understand that African American children learn best when taught by African American teachers. So let's figure out what we got to do to make
Come
this.
on now. And see, why don't they get it? Why don't they get it? Why don't they understand that, Keith? I mean, it's not that we, first of all, only had one black teacher the entire kindergarten through 12th grade. One black teacher. And I'm actually kind of ticked off because one, I only speak one language. I'm a little mad about that. And two, I didn't see myself in an educator role. I didn't. Mrs. Coleman was our only teacher, and we're not doing anything. We're not doing anything from a state level perspective to attract young people of color. I'm gonna say our Latino community needs the same thing. They need to see more Latin. They need to see more Spanish speaking as a first language teacher in these schools. All right. You both have the opportunity. So you guys will both be working with hopefully Democratic mayors. Angie, we're going to get Angie over the finish line down up in Michigan City, and Mayor Joe's looking for his third term. Can we just for a second talk about what the consequences could be? Because I don't think people take into consideration this. What the consequences could be if, as you guys are sitting on the council, there's all 9 Democrats on the council of Michigan City, and in Indianapolis we have a supermajority. There's 20 of the 25 that are Democrats. How talk about the negative of not having either Angie or Mayor Joe not win their election and having Republicans in their seats. Daisy, I'm gonna let you go first because I loaded you up, my man. I loaded you up. So Daisy, I'm gonna let you go first. You know what Michigan City needs. So
one positive thing about having Angie win would be that young Black girls can see themselves in a leadership position for their city.
Come on.
They representation. To have another middle to older aged white guy in power, it's nothing new. We've seen it.
Well, that's what we got here, but
we've seen it for the history of time. So hopefully, if we have a Republican mayor again and 9 Democrats in city council, it might be hard to get more progressive things passed, things that our city needs, things that our youth needs, and that they want. We are a generally progressive city, and so to move backwards would be detrimental to our growing city.
Yeah, I like it. Keith?
You know, I tell you what, much of what we've talked about on this show, Dana, would not have happened, and it will probably not be possible for continued growth. No grocery stores, no housing, no veterans housing that we're working on. No,
we ain't touched on the veterans. Come on.
Yeah, we would have none of that if we were to have a Republican. And because I tell you, what I do is not random, and it's not just being a community advocate. Okay, you have to have a relationship. I've got a great relationship with Mayor Joe, and he is, in partnership with the leadership on the council, they have directed the type of resources that we need on the east side. He's largely responsible for what we're witnessing before our own eyes. And I've said this many times, but the investment that we've seen on the east side of Indy, it probably rivals any investment in the east side since its inception. I mean, we're talking $300-400 million in investment, and we're talking the important things. If you were a 3-year-old or if you were a seasoned architect, you're gonna draw a grocery store in your neighborhood. When you draw a neighborhood, you're gonna draw good-looking roads and clean streets
and some plants and trees and flowers.
We didn't have that years ago. If someone, in 95 said, let's do a 20-year plan, then by the time 2015 came around, that 20-year plan failed, or they left the whole east side out. So
well, they left the east side out. You do know that.
Because we revitalized the plan, and we now have a new plan, and the people that are in place from the council and the mayor's administration, Democrat-led council and the Democratic mayor, we have transformed the east side of Indianapolis. This is not what it looked like just 4 short years ago when I was on this show as a member of the council. 4 years later, and it's the neighborhood just totally different. I can't wait for the next 4 years. So we'll see Devington doing the same thing, and we'll continue to find areas where we can put the next Indy Fresh Market to continue to remove the term food desert when you think about the inside of Indianapolis.
And what drives me crazy is, I read the Indy Star, and I'm a sucker for the comments. I gotta go read the haters, right? I want to know what the haters are saying. My mother told me when I was very young, you gotta know where your enemies are coming from, so you know how to either avoid them or deal with them. You know what I'm saying? If you put your head in the sand and not know what they're saying about you, then you just out there. But it drives me nuts. I grew up in Indianapolis. Now, granted, I went to North Central, and shout out to the Panthers. I went to North Central, but one of the things that drives me crazy is how people who don't live here, and I imagine it's the same way in Michigan City, right? People who don't live in your city and live in some county with about 8,000 people want to comment and determine what is best for your city. One of the things that frightens me about Republican mayors and predominantly Democratic cities is that, I'm sorry, Republicans have not shown me that they can distinguish themselves from other Republicans. They just haven't, right? I see, what's the difference between the Republicans in D.C. and the Republicans in the State House? Them peoples is in lockstep with each other. They may not be as extreme, or some may not be as crazy as others, but the ones that ain't crazy ain't standing up to the crazies. So in my opinion, and this is just like a mini rant, I guess, in my opinion, please keep your Republican policies out of my Democratic city. Because they're not going to stand up. They're not going to stand up to the crazies on their team. We should all be concerned. We should all be out here trying to get ourselves together so we can vote on November the 7th, because you are right. Early voting has started. Get your behind to the poll tomorrow morning. Polls is open. Guys, I mean, this was like so good, and y'all got me fired up, as you can tell, a little bit. I really do appreciate you guys taking time out of canvassing, because early voting's already started. And this is the time when you guys are out knocking doors, shaking hands, and talking to the people. But if you could, Daisy, go ahead and tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on Facebook, Daisy Lee for City Council.
And do you have any events coming up, any volunteer opportunities for folks to help you out?
Yeah, every Saturday at noon, we're meeting at the Democratic headquarters at noon and at 2:00, starting to canvass and get around the city.
All right, guys, go help Daisy. Go knock on the door and help her out. Keith, tell the people where they can find you.
www.electkeithgraves.com if you want to make a donation. But Dana, I'll be out this Saturday on the 28th and the 4th. This Saturday at Devington Plaza, I'm going to be joined by State Representative Robin Shackelford. 11 o'clock in the morning, we're going to start knocking on doors and meeting neighbors in support of all Democrats across the city. We're canvassing for our community, canvassing for our party. So that's this Saturday coming up the 14th. And then, of course, I'll have another one on the 28th. So I'm looking forward to that. And otherwise, you can find me on all forms of social media under my name, Keith Graves or Councilor Graves.
Love it. Love it. Now, listen, if you guys ain't fired up after listening to these two candidates, check your pulse. Check your pulse. Daisy is out here just ripping it up in Michigan City, doing all the things for all the people. Doesn't matter what their demographic is, whether it aligns with hers or not. I didn't even ask because I didn't care. She just out here helping humans. Keith Graves is telling you the amazing story of his come up, and he wants to give back. Click on those donate links, y'all. Give them everybody that's listening, just $10 will help them out. Share the links on your social medias. Share your links with your friends. Help raise some money and get out and knock on some doors for these folks. I'm telling you, y'all got me hype. I'm like on a whole nother level hype after talking. Daisy, I'm gonna promise you this. Me and you gonna talk, because I'm like, I need to know how I can help you, because you're doing it. Keith, you already know. It's amazing. You're doing the work, man. I'm just so excited see y'all, our future Democrats, our bench is amazing. All these people talking about who we gonna get to run for this or who we gonna get to run for that. Y'all always focusing on who's gonna run for governor and senate and all that other stuff. You need to be finding out who's taking care of your communities. That's what you need to be doing. Who's giving a dang about the kids? Who wants to make sure they're getting a quality education by actually educating them? Boy, okay, I'm done. All right. Indiana's own Dana Black. Okay, I don't have a show next week. I do apologize, but I was able to do a great interview with Councilwoman Veronica Pedro, who's running for re-election, our history maker. So go on my YouTube page, go on my Spotify page, check out her interview. And all the people that I had to cancel because of all the great work that I get to do with Act Blue, Trust, Know, and Believe, I will do special recordings. I was going to do a special recording with my man Keith, but he was available this week, so I thank him for taking, on the last minute, like, yeah, I'll come. I love it. So there will not be a show next week, but I'm going to try to make sure I get as many candidates out as I possibly can, because these are the stories we need to hear. These people are doing the work. Stop asking me who. I'm bringing them to you every other week now. It used to be every week. All right. I will holler at you guys next time. I got to go do something with all this amazing energy I got right now because these folks fed me. I will holler at y'all next week. Peace.
Turn Left is the property of Black Pearl IT Solutions. Executive producer, Indiana's own Dana Black. Music by www.bensound.com.